It's time to get real, folks. If you plan on boarding a plane anytime soon, you better be prepared. Joining us on the new requirement for air travel, David McMahon, Federal Security Director for the South Carolina Transportation Security Administration, or TSA, as we all know it to be. Good to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
So getting real means getting the real ID.
That is
so
correct.
when does this go into effect?
This goes into effect on May 7th. And the requirement is that individuals, especially here in the state of South Carolina, have a driver's license that is Real ID compliant, and you'll know that by having a star in the upper right-hand corner of the driver's license.
Okay, so let's say my flight leaves on the 4th and it comes back on the 8th.
Yes.
And I left without a Real ID. How do I get back?
Yeah, so on your travel back, you're going to be underneath the new system.
Right.
And within that airport that you're departing from, you're going to receive some additional screening. You may be diverted into another lane. And the reason for that is because your driver's license does not have the security requirements in order to kind of reduce the threat of individuals on the aircraft.
So it's not that you won't be allowed on your flight, but you will have to go through a little bit more of a stringent security check.
That's correct. I would recommend that you give yourself plenty of time, because depending on the state that you're departing from, it could take a little bit longer to get through the security check.
So big airports, they say, get there at least 2 hours before your flight. You might want to give yourself maybe double it even.
You may want to give yourself a little bit extra time.
Indeed, yeah.
We do show 81% of all travelers across the nation do have real compliant IDs, but it's going to be that small population or new travelers that are going to experience this if they are not compliant.
And this is not something that people could opt in or opt out of. This is just when you were renewing your driver's license, for instance, it was going to become a requirement. Now, if you haven't renewed your driver's license, what is the length of time? Let's say you're traveling in a month. How quickly can one get their driver's license?
So that is a great question for the South Carolina DMV.
Yeah.
And you could go on their website and see that. I do know of individuals going in the morning, bringing in all the proper documents, and being out of there within an hour or two.
And actually, so I did do my research a little bit, and you can actually go in same day, come away with that Real ID. So all hope is not lost if you do have a trip coming up. And then when you do go in, the things that you need to have with you, social security card, couple of utility bills, something that shows who you are, change of name, for instance, if you have something like that, right?
Yes, and if you're going to need for females, need a little bit more information. They're going to need that birth certificate. They're also going to need the marriage certificate. If they've been divorced before, they're going to need a divorce decree. And what it is trying to show that lineage of various last names or aliases.
So why was this passed? When was this passed? Why was this passed?
Yeah, great question. This was passed in 2005 after the 9/11 Commission, which was composed of our congressional members, looked at the 9/11 events. And within that, they saw a vulnerability. For instance, the 19 terrorists had approximately 30 different driver's licenses or identifications that we were able to locate within the system. So by doing this, this creates a security assurance for all traveling passengers. It really means when you get on that airplane, you know who's sitting next to you and you know their Real ID, which means that they're clear to fly on that aircraft.
Right. And of course, if worse comes to worse and you have other forms in order to travel, passport is always, but of course, you don't want to go applying for a passport just to get on a plane if it's a domestic flight, because those take weeks and weeks to get back in some cases, right?
That is correct, yes.
But permanent resident card, a defense ID would be a couple of other options. While we're on the subject, passports.
Yes.
So if you're traveling to another U.S. territory, anything that is overseas that you have to cross water, is that something that is still required?
You're still going to need your passport.
You will.
So, that's going to be your best form of identification. Also reduces the amount of additional identification that you carry with you.
Yeah.
But yes, that is the safest way to go.
Okay, so really everybody should get a passport, and they're good for 10 years. So
they're good for 10 years. Yeah. If you plan on traveling overseas. If you don't, get your driver's license. South Carolina, I believe they're good for 10 years, maybe.
Okay.
So it's a little more economical way to go about that practice.
Only we looked as young as we did the year that we
Very
got the
much
picture
so.
taken. And,
Right, right,
that always
exactly.
happens too. Wonderful. All right, so May 7th, that's the date.
Yes.
That's when it's going to go into effect.
Yes.
No ifs, ands, or buts. I want to thank you so much for sharing with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And safe travel, everyone. We'll be
Thank you.
back after this.